What's up, guys? It's Robo. Thanks for joining me down in the cage. Today I want to talk about the Beyond Power Voltra and specifically why I got the Beyond Power Voltra over like a traditional functional trainer. The one that I was kind of considering specifically was the Rogue Indy add-on, and obviously I have the Rogue Rhino trainer, so the Indy kind of made sense for me. If you watch the Rogue Rhino trainer video that I dropped, I kind of talked about how down the line I was considering adding the Indy, but got a chance at Home Gym Con to try the Vulture thanks to a couple guys, Porter, Phys Ed, he just dropped his rev bar and it's sweet. I actually just got mine. And Darko, they both brought their Beyond Power Voltra at Home Gym Con, and then obviously Rogue had the Indy kind of set up. So I got a chance to try both products at Home Gym Con, which was awesome. I got that hands-on experience there, which is really helpful in making my decision. But I didn't really buy anything right after that. I still kind of waited and felt things out. But at this point, I've had the Beyond Power Voltra for a little bit, and I want to talk about that decision and if I regret that decision at all. So overall, why I made the decision to get the Voltra over the Indy is a couple reasons. The biggest driving factor was the Indy just looked like too much clutter on the uprights. I use my squat rack for a lot of things that isn't just squatting and benching and overhead pressing and that type of stuff. Like, I like rack attachments. I'm sitting on this Sorenex Bulldog. I set up the Rogue multi-use roller to hold my leg downs for lat pull downs and things like that. I have these safety straps here. So I just didn't want a bunch of stuff crowding the uprights. I thought it was going to get annoying and with the trolley and things like that. I just thought it was going to get in the way and be something that was a regret. So that was always in my head. I wasn't sure that I necessarily wanted a true all-in-one rack. I always kind of gravitated towards the standalone functional trainers and more kind of wanted that route. But it did make sense when I got this rack to consider the Indy. But that was the number one driving force for me, was the upright clutter. Number two was overall setup. Like, I didn't want to set up the stacks, to be honest. I didn't want to, if I eventually move from this house, have to move the stacks with me and have to rewire all the cables and things like that. It's just complex setup. This is really easy. You just press a button to turn it on, and obviously it is portable. Like, if I ever go on vacation or things like that, I'm able to take this with me with the travel platform, do things like belt squats, RDLs, things like that on the go. It's cool that they make certain types of mounts that allow that. So the portability and the fact that there was no setup was also really kind of appealing factors to me. But the number one thing to me personally was the upright clutter. I just did not want to have that. Even just these safety straps, like, I find are annoying. A lot of times I'll take off these fronts just to have these front uprights like as clean as possible. So talking a little bit more specifically about the differences of a Vultra and a functional trainer, I want to talk about the types of movements that I really like to do on a Vultra. It is different than a functional trainer. A lot of people will say that it feels similar. I don't really think it feels similar. They're really smooth. They're both really smooth, but they are different. There are certain movements that honestly, like, aren't really comparable. The biggest difference that I found movement-wise is like a weighted crunch. A lot of times if I put the Vultra at the top and do like a weighted crunch, it just feels weird when I go to the bottom and like start my descent. You kind of benefit from that like inertia movement with the weight stack. So there's a couple movements like that are just overall different on the Vultra than a cable stack. Not better, not worse. Just different feeling for that. There are a lot of things that I think overall are so much better on the Vultra that don't compare to a normal weight stack, specifically a lot of back movements, a lot of arm movements, and that's because of the features that are built into the Vultra. Like, I don't want to go super in depth into all that stuff. There's a million reviews on the Vultra already, but with the eccentrics and the reverse chain specifically, so heaviest at the start, it's unreal for rowing movements, lat movements, biceps, triceps. It's so out of this world compared to a traditional weight stack movement. That alone made me not regret this decision. The novelty will seemingly never wear off with that. Like, it blows my mind. The amount of people that I've brought into the cage just to kind of try it, working out as well, but just like try it and make a point that, hey, pull this, and have it be like 20 pounds pulling and then 50 pounds on the way back, and it just blow their minds, will never get old. So that type of stuff is really cool. Like, it is not comparable. There's nothing that you can do with the weight stack that'll make it compare to that. Yeah, you can put bands on it, but even then, like, the amount that you can dial this in with the strength curves and things like that was really appealing to me. And when I got it, when I tried it at home gym con, yeah, I played with that stuff, but it was like really fast. Obviously, I didn't get to like truly tinker. When I got it in the cage and really got to spend time with it, my mind was blown. The options that you can do with this type of stuff is limitless. So that was a big appeal to me as well, and I honestly do think that makes it worth going in this direction over a cable stack. Yes, the biggest con of this versus a cable stack is that we don't know about the longevity of this, but a huge pro is that the fact that it is digital. Yeah, we don't know the longevity, but the features are constantly changing because of the ability for Beyond Power just to send updates right to the unit. You kind of just like plug it in and it'll update automatically if it's connected to Wi-Fi. So things like that, like, I don't even know what will be on this in 2 years, because they're going to continue to come out with new stuff. And I do think that it will benefit. I do think there is some stuff that it needs, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, like I said, I specifically do like the chains and the inverse features, but also the auto load and deload adds a lot that cable stacks don't do, specifically rows. I use it so much for chest supported rows. That's like the main movement I use for this. I also do like pretty much everything. Triceps, preacher curls all the time. I'll show some footage of the different workouts that I do. I use this for cable curls, not with like my hamstring, like a prone hamstring curl. So there's so much stuff that you can do with this. But the auto deload stuff, like for chest supported rows, being able to pull out the cable and get in position without fighting the weight stack, like it's unbelievable how much easier it is to like get into a good position and not have to worry about that. Like, I still have to kind of do some gymnastics to get the bench not to move, but the fact that I don't need to pull out the weight stack is a massive thing. Again, it's just convenience. Like, yeah, you can do the same movements with a cable stack, but ultimately this is kind of just better. There are a lot of features that I don't really use on this. I kind of just use the weight training feature. I don't really use like the resistance band setting or like the isokinetic features or what even else is there? The damper settings. I've never used that. But it is, I guess, useful if you're into that type of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I compare this to like a lifetime membership. Not that I have a lifetime membership, but lifetime is like crazy expensive. And if you use everything that lifetime offers, like the sauna and the pool and the snack shack and the gym and the classes and everything, sure, you can justify that price, but like no one really does. I think that's worth considering for this too. Like, I'm sure there are some people that use every single setting on this, but I've had this for a decent amount of time now, like 6 months, and I pretty much only use the weight resistance setting and or weight training setting and the custom strength curve setting. Speaking of things that this absolutely needs in the future, they need to add an auto load and auto deload setting to the strength curve feature. I don't really use the custom strength curve feature as much as I want to because it doesn't have that setting. And when I'm using that, I have the same problems that a traditional cable stack has when I'm trying to get into that position. So things like that I would like to see improve, but there's not much else. And they're constantly improving things. I do think they are really responsive to feedback and things like the Discord and the Reddit, so they're constantly kind of updating. So that's something that I'm sure that they will add going forward, but as of right now, they don't have it, and that's a little bit annoying. But yeah, if there are any questions, please comment them below. I do get a lot of questions that's like, hey, should I get the Vulture or the Indy? At this point, I'm recommending the Vulture because you can do so much more, and it's actually a little bit cheaper than the Indy. As long as cable flies is not like your favorite movement in the world, there's to me, really no point in getting the Indy unless you're really concerned about longevity, which is totally fair. I get that. In like 3 years, if Beyond Power is out of business, I'm gonna look like a total idiot, right, for kind of recommending and saying this. But for this, if you're okay knowing down the line you might have to replace this, I think it kind of is a no-brainer to go with the Vulture over the Indy at this point. But again, thank you for watching. That's just my opinion. I do get a lot of questions on this, so I just wanted to drop kind of a quick video that discusses it. But I do appreciate you watching. Again, leave your comments and questions below. And thanks again. I'll see you next time. Peace.